HOA, Karen installs fake no parking signs, but she forgets the real HOA president lives next door. It had been a long week, and I was looking forward to a quiet Saturday morning. I stepped outside with a cup of coffee, ready to enjoy the crisp spring air, when something unusual caught my eye. A brand new, no parking HOA enforced sign was planted at the edge of my driveway. I frowned. That wasn't there yesterday. Suspicious, I walked closer and noticed another identical sign posted across the street and then another down the block. None of this made sense. Our HOA had never enforced street parking rules. As I stood there trying to make sense of the situation, my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who had lived here for decades, walked up with a concerned expression. "Did you see these signs? I woke up to find one in front of my house too," she said. Before I could respond, a familiar smug voice cut through the air.
"I'm just making some improvements,"
Karen declared, stepping onto the sidewalk with her arms crossed. Karen was the self-appointed neighborhood watchdog, always looking for ways to impose her own version of order. I sighed and asked where these signs had come from. Karen tilted her chin up and responded with confidence.
"The HOA decided to implement new parking regulations. It's for the good of the community. Some of these cars are ruining the neighborhood's look."
I narrowed my eyes, questioning the legitimacy of her claim. She simply smirked.
You must have missed the memo."
Something felt off. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I knew would clear this up immediately. Our real HOA president, Mr. Thompson. Within 10 minutes, he arrived, dressed in his usual weekend attire, polo shirt and khakis. The moment he spotted the signs, his expression darkened. "These are not official," he stated firmly. Karen scoffed.
"Well, maybe they should be. I'm just taking initiative."
And quickly tried to justify her actions. Mr. Thompson crossed his arms, demanding to know who had given her the authority to act. Karen faltered for a moment before regaining her composure and attempting to frame her actions as beneficial to the neighborhood. Mr. Thompson pulled out his phone, snapped a few pictures, and made a quick call. Minutes later, a city official arrived in a marked vehicle. After a brief exchange, the official turned to Karen. "You do realize installing unauthorized traffic signs is illegal, right? That's considered tampering with public property." Karen's face turned beet red as she tried to downplay the situation.
"I'm just looking out for property values. But it's just a couple of signs."
The official shook his head and informed her that the signs would be removed and that she would be fined for violating city ordinances. Karen clenched her fists.
"This is outrageous. I was only trying to help."
Mr. Thompson sighed and reminded her that this was not how an HOA operated, emphasizing that she couldn't simply make up rules to fit her personal preferences. One by one, the city worker pulled up the fake signs, loading them into his truck. As Karen stood fuming, neighbors peeked out of their houses, whispering and shaking their heads. Later that evening, Mr. Thompson sent out an official email reassuring everyone that no new parking rules had been established and that any future changes would go through proper voting procedures. As for Karen, she sulked for weeks, avoiding eye contact with everyone. But the message had been clear. Her reign of fake authority was over, and with that, our neighborhood could finally breathe again. In conclusion, our community emerged stronger and more united, a testament to the power of proper governance and collective vigilance. We learned that true authority comes from transparency and fairness, not from the impulsive acts of a self-appointed enforcer. The incident left an indelible mark on our neighborhood, reminding us to always stand up for our rights and to question those who overstep their bounds. Today, our streets are free of unauthorized signs, and our community thrives on mutual respect and accountability.